Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's workshop will be focused on international students and the resources available to you as you navigate your way through UT and your master's degree. My name is Rachel Sanson and I'm the careers specialist here at the LBJ School. And I'll be moderating today's event. We ask that you save any questions you might have until after the panelists' introductions. So first off, I'd like to introduce Mimi Ghosh, who is the Assistant Director of Student Advising Services at Texas Global. Mimi, thank you so much for joining us today. If you could just tell us a little bit about how you serve the international student population at Texas Global, that would be great.
Thanks, Rachel. Hi, everyone. My name is Mimi, and I work at International Student and Scholar Services at Texas Global. And our office is the main point of contact for international students with questions about their visa status and questions about their F1 and J1 rules and benefits. I seem to be having some Zoom issues, so I apologize if my video seems jerky or anything like that. But many of you, or maybe most or all of you, have interacted with our office at some point already, because perhaps we have issued you a visa document, an F1 I-20 or J1 DS 2019, or answered questions about how, traveling to the United States, getting a visa, what processes you need to go through to maintain your immigration status in the US. And we are happy to answer any questions you may have about any aspect of your visa status. We obviously receive many questions about work authorization for students, for international students, so on-campus employment, off-campus employment and internships and employment opportunities and eligibility after graduation. So feel free to reach out to us anytime you have questions about any of those topics. And I understand many or perhaps all of you will be engaging in some type of internship during your program of study at UT Austin. And especially if the internship is a paid internship, you would be required to obtain authorization before engaging in it. So for F1 students, that would be through a type of work authorization called CPT, which stands for Curricular Practical Training. For J1 students, there's something kind of equivalent called academic training. But in either case, you would need to work with our office to obtain authorization before you can start the internship. And that entire process can be done online. We try to make it as simple for you as possible. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about CPT later on when we have the Q&A session. Maybe just to give you a very brief overview of it now. F1 students are eligible for CPT work authorization after they've completed 2 long semesters in the United States in F1 status. Sometimes there is an exception for students in degree programs that require them to participate in an internship prior to having completed 2 long semesters. And the curricular practical training means that the internship or employment opportunity is an integral part of your course of study. And so normally that means that it's either a degree requirement. For your degree, everyone needs to complete an internship to obtain the degree, or that you are taking an internship, a practicum or internship course where the course that you're enrolled in requires you to complete an internship for successful completion of the course. So that's the curricular component of it. There is an academic aspect to the internship. That's an important thing to keep in mind. And for any type of internship, it would need to be directly related to your major field of study at UT Austin. It would need to be vetted and approved by your academic advisor or career advisor. And then the final part of the process is that an international student advisor in our office will review it and approve it for you and issue you an updated visa document, an I-20, that will have your CPT authorization on it. And again, there's a mostly parallel process for J1 students. It's just some of the terms are different, but it's a very similar process for J1 students requesting academic training authorization to take part in internships. So I hope I didn't go over time. Thank you, Rachel, for letting me introduce our office and talk a little bit about CPT.
You didn't at all. Thank you so much, Mimi. So second, we have Olga Kutsuridi. I hope, Olga, I pronounced your last name correctly. Please correct me if I didn't.
Sounds great. Sounds great. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen too so I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. And you can let me know if you're seeing just a PowerPoint, not my notes.
I can just see your PowerPoint.
Okay, wonderful.
That's great. So before you begin, Olga is the Senior Graduate Program Coordinator for Texas Mobility at Texas Career Engagement. So Olga, if you could, I guess, do your deck and just tell us a bit about what you do for the international student population.
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Olga Kutsuridi. You can just call me Olga. I'm going to be here talking about the work that we do to provide kind of specific support for international graduate students here at Texas Career Engagement. So as I was already introduced, I'm the Senior Graduate Student Coordinator for Global Mobility, which means out of the team of 5 amazing folks that I get to work with every day at the Graduate Career and Professional Development team, my expertise is in international career and professional development. And I also just wanted to highlight that your kind of experience here at ET is going to require a lot of collaboration. And so you already have been working with the folks in your college, and we are here to supplement and support any of the work that you're already doing with Colleen and Rachel and any of your faculty that you'll be working with as well. So we are here to kind of, add to the list of people that you can add to your network of support, especially as it relates to your career and professional development. And so the areas of support that we can provide, especially as you get started your first year, is as you're building out your professional development and career development plan. So we have skills focused programming that you can attend, everything from how to write a cover letter, a persuasive cover letter, effective cover letter, time management, and many other things. And I'll kind of give you a snapshot of some of the specific international career programming that I designed last year. We of course do one-on-one graduate career advising, and Colleen can of course provide the specific kind of expertise that she knows about policy or any kind of the targeted information that you need, and then we can kind of give you more of the structural feedback or how to network, any of those additional things that you might need. We also do a lot of career and identity programming as it relates to your career, of course. And so we have culturally responsive programming. I'll talk about the international piece, of course, but many of you have other identities as well. And so in order to kind of account for that, we have a whole other series of kind of identity career programming that will help you navigate the bias that's inherent in the hiring process. If you're a part of another identity that you identify with, like being a first generation graduate student, maybe you're also a parent, we have ways of supporting you through those other identities as well. And then of course, if you're still in kind of career exploration mode, or you need some additional support there, we have everything from like a career exploration course and many other resources that I can share with you. The first thing I wanted to bring to your attention is our brand new website. And part of the kind of plan for that was to build a separate international graduate student page on our website, and as it relates to career and professional development. And so this is just the top of that page. But if you scroll down, you will find everything from downloadable resources. So like how to leverage your international experience, what kind of reflective questions to ask yourself. You can schedule an appointment there. There's a link to an appointment with Mimi that you can schedule, because like I said, it's going to be highly collaborative. And that involves Mimi's team, who can actually give you the okay on work authorization. Then you come back to me or Colleen and say, this is what I know about being allowed to intern, let's make it happen. Who can I, how do I get an internship, right? You also want to use this website to watch any of the past seminars that we've taught. And I'm going to be adding to that repertoire. I think right now we have how to enhance your job search through networking in the US, and then kind of an introduction to job searching for international graduate students, but I'll be adding many more to that as well. This is just a list of some selective programs that I taught last year. So the one I did in the spring really focused on the role of self-promotion in the US and how to leverage it in your job search, networking in the US and its role, American interview culture, and then we also did evaluating offer letters as an international candidate. And there we focused on how to ask for visa support, what should go into your counter offer, and really kind of focused on the needs of international candidates. In the fall and spring semester, I also hold a series of international grad chats that are meant to be really as a way of building community and brainstorming any problem that you might face in the job search process and the career exploration process. And that I did both development, kind of professional development topics, such as, uncovering the hidden curriculum of U.S. graduate school, and then career development topics on how to do kind of the fundamentals of career. Some online resources that I wanted to make sure that you were aware of. I'm sure maybe, Colleen already introduced you to Handshake. Some kind of easy wins, action items is to just like activate it with your EID credentials, set up an account. And then the one win that I recommend doing is filling out the skill section, because that's the one that the employers kind of zone in and look for talent. And then InnerStride, which is I wish when I was an international kind of graduate student had access to this resource, which is a career and professional development platform that was specifically designed for international graduate students. So the first thing you can do is just set up an account, take the career game plan assessment just to kind of figure out what areas of attention you might need, and then maybe connect with one other international graduate student here at UT, because there's a whole like networking feature in it. And then a list of additional resources that you can access on our website. And I will link everything and send everything to Rachel so she can share, and, as well as this presentation, of course. And then the Global Grad Careers listserv that I'm launching this fall. This is me trying to crowdsource as many resources, opportunities for international graduate students, both for domestic opportunities and then also international opportunities, especially if you're looking to kind of have parallel plans. And then some wellness resources, because mental, physical, and emotional health are fundamental to your career and professional development. So I'll pause there. And then if Rachel wants to ask me about what we have coming up in the fall, I can do kind of just like a sneak preview, because we're still finalizing those plans. So yeah, that's me. Thank you. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you very much. So third up, we have Zuli Yassen, who is an MGPS 2018 international alum, who now works as a strategic initiatives analyst at Texas Health and Human Services. Zuli, thank you for joining us today. Please tell us a bit about your experience as an international student at LBJ and your experience of getting a job at Texas Health and Human Services. I think we just need to, there we go, you're pinned.
Thanks a lot, Rachel, for that introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Zuli. I started out at LBJ School in 2015, and I applied for a dual degree in 2016. So I finished the global policy degree and Middle Eastern studies degree and I want to focus on Middle East, and some of the security issues and terrorism and stuff like that. So I did an internship at the Institute for Study of War after graduation, working on Syrian war, which was something that I was really, really interested in. And it was a great experience, and I can talk about it more if you like later on. As for this job, after interning at DC, I returned Austin, and it was supposed to be a temporary thing. I thought I'm going to be here for a couple of months, and I was planning on going back to DC. But while I was here, I had friends here, and I was talking with them. And when you graduate, you're pretty broke, so I had to get a job immediately. So I talked a couple of friends who were already graduated before me. And one of them said that they have an opening in their team as a policy analyst role at Health and Human Services. And she asked if I would be interested in an interview. And I was like, yeah, of course. I mean, I could work a couple of months before I move and like maybe earn some money. And then I went to the internship, interview. It went really well. I was hired immediately. And that it was supposed to be a temporary experience, but it turned into a 3-year career where I got promoted, and learned a lot about healthcare, which was not my expertise at all. And I also learned a lot about like the legislative process in Texas state politics, and as well as very much like business side of things, not just the policy side. So it's been a very interesting and rewarding experience, but I still want to go to DC and want to pursue a career in international affairs. So we'll see how that goes.
Thank you so much, Suli. And our fourth panelist is Nina Nomura, who is a current international LBJ student studying Masters of Global Policy Studies. Nina, thank you for offering to share your experience as a current LBJ student. If you could just tell us a little bit about your experience as an international student at LBJ and UT as a whole, and then we'll go straight into the Q&A.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to share like a chunk of information first. My name is Nina Nomura Nibbling. Recently, my last name changed because I recently got married, and I'm a current MGPS student. And over the summer, I interned at A Glimmer of Hope and Austin Urban Technology Movement. And A Glimmer of Hope is an organization involved in international development and helping people in rural Ethiopia. And Urban Technology Movement Austin Urban Technology Movement is actively advocating for digital equity in Austin. And I got both of the internships through my classmates. So networking within LBJ is also really important outside of Handshake. And I've been heavily engaged into a lot of LBJ and UT Austin research centers. And one of them is Alexander Hamilton Society. And I'll be working as a communications director this year. It's an organization for students who are interested in national and international security studies. You get to meet a lot of people who are experts in security studies. And I'm also an international editor for the Baines Report. If you like to write something, just send some articles to them and they're going to publish it for you. And I'll be also a student life director this year for GPAC. So if you have any ideas for, student life events, just let me know. And I was also working as a research affiliate for Innovations for Peace and Development. If you're interested in international development fields, I highly recommend that. And also, I'm completing 2 portfolio programs. Actually, one of them I already completed it, but one of them is Clements Center for National Security Portfolio Program. It's really easy. You just need to attend some of the conferences and you gain a lot of knowledge in security studies. And the other one, probably Lauren knows this more, but LBJ's Professional Development Certificate Program. If you feel a little like, especially as international students, if you're not really confident in speaking about yourself in English, I definitely recommend you take this certificate program because you kind of get better at expressing yourself. So yeah. And as a hobby, I joined LBJ softball team. We have practice Tuesday and Friday. On Friday, if you come to practice, you get to meet 20 or 30 LBJ students, current students, and then just hang out afterwards. So even if you're not playing softball, just join. And I'm also involved in LBJ Run Club. We just run at Zilka Park at 6:30. Just, yeah. And I have my dog's Instagram, Toast Dude. If you're interested in dogs, just follow me. We have like 3,000 followers. So yeah, that's my introduction.
Thank you, Nina. I'm definitely going to have to check out your doggy's IG page. Okay, so I'm just going to ask all students to, either raise your hand or add your question in the chat if you have any questions. To kick off the Q&A, I'm going to just go ahead, since Zuli doesn't have too much time today with us. I wanted to go ahead and ask both you and Nina, as your past and present LBJ students, what some of the things you did upon reflection helped you navigate your way as an international student. For example, like how did you go about identifying an internship, or how did you keep organized with your paperwork and that kind of thing? Zuli, you're muted.
Oops, sorry. So I think the most helpful resource for me was the professors at LBJ school. So I definitely advise students to be close with your professors that you like and enjoy their classes. I don't know, I think he's still teaching at LBJ school. Jeremy Suri was my thesis advisor. And I really try to build a mentor-mentee kind of relationship more than just like professor and student kind of relationship. So when I was looking for internship, on my first year, I find an internship through, so I was very randomly invited to this dinner because I was also interested in like China, and at that time there was a professor who specialized in China, and he invited a couple of like people speaking for like that lunch hour talks that I don't know if we still have it in LBJ school, but different experts came. So he invited a China expert. So we all went to dinner afterwards, and there were other students as well. So in that meeting, we had the opportunity to talk and kind of like get to know each other. And I directly received an offer of internship so easily through that way. And it really surprised me. Unfortunately, I was not able to do it that year. So I had to reapply for internship next year and the year after that. The internship I did at the Institute for Study of War, I learned that institute through a friend who interned there before me, and she highly recommended it. So I look at its website and really try to tailor my cover letter and my CV according to what they're looking for. And I asked her to review it. So she gave me some tips, and I kind of revised my application according to that. And then I got an interview. And the interview, I really, really highlighted the things that I did about the Middle East and about Turkey. I guess being from Turkey, I had some advantage, like speaking the language and stuff like that. But I think in addition to that, really like highlighting my experiences, even like the papers that I wrote on the Middle East, or the books that I read really helped. I think, during the interview. So then I got the job, and it turned out to be one of the best and rewarding experiences. Even if it was 3 months, I learned a ton. So yeah, that's my experience.
I totally agree with what Zuli said. Just reach out to professors if you have any issues finding internships, but also just talk to your like friends, and then the friends might have known some internships. And in my case, I kind of reached out to research centers that are affiliated with the LBJ school, and then kind of tried to figure out if they're looking for GRA or any TA jobs or research jobs. That's how I kind of reached out to many of them, but just try to be out there and just, talk to as many people as possible is the key to get any internships or jobs, I think.
Thank you both. We have one question in the chat from Abundance saying, I would like to know if international students can get employment while in their home country. Most of the GRA jobs require professional referees. And I guess that's to any of you.
I don't know if I can give a really clear answer to that question, but I think it's really important to be in the country. That's been my experience. Not even the country, in the city that you wanna internet or that you wanna work. So if you want to be in DC at the heart of policymaking, just be in DC and look for opportunities there. Get some names from your professors. That's what I did when I was doing my internship. Get some I got names, and then I emailed them and I networked with them. Doesn't mean that that's going to lead to an experience, or an opportunity, or not even an internship, but that just kind of opens up your world. And they tend to really they like to talk about themselves, for one thing, because they built their career, so they have this huge information about how to go through that road. So they're always willing to talk a lot, and that really helps you to kind of put your career in that map, and kind of strategize for yourself. So I personally would recommend to be in a different country if you want to, a job or internship in the US. But that's my experience.
Thanks, Zuli. Mimi, I don't know if you might have any input on that question.
Is the student asking about, sorry, let me look at the question again. I'd like to know what the work authorization angle of this is. Is the student asking about working before graduation or after graduation?
Abundance, I don't know if you'd like to chime in a little bit further on that. Before graduation.
Okay, so there are two scenarios here. One is if you have never set foot in the United States yet, and I'm talking about kind of visa regulations and what you're allowed to do. If you haven't yet entered the US and you are outside the US and planning to, if you've somehow made a plan to do the semester remotely, let's say, for example, for fall 2021, I'm not even sure if that's possible, but if your department is allowing it, and if you're asking if you can work in your home country, no problem. You're not in a US visa status yet until you actually set foot in the US. So F1 or J1 rules, even if we've already issued you a visa document, they do not apply to you. And they don't limit what you can or cannot do in your home country. So the other scenario is if you've already been in the US and you are leaving and going home to work, that might be just slightly more complicated. But in general, if you have an active F1 or J1 CVIS record in the US, then I would be a little bit more cautious about what you do in terms of employment back home. I mean, you can work for a non-US employer while you're at home. That's no problem at all. You are not restricted in terms of, you know, the only restrictions would apply if you plan to work for a US employer while you're in or outside of the US, if you have a current active immigration status in the US. So those are the two scenarios. I hope that makes sense. And Abundance or anyone else who has this question, feel free to email us. Incoming student searching for GRA positions prior to arriving in the US. Okay, that's really helpful. Thank you. So if you're an incoming student searching for GRA positions prior to getting into the US, what I can say is from a visa perspective, there's absolutely no problem for you to work for any employer before you arrive here. But if you plan to work for you know, the university, then I understand that campus has its own rules about whether they will allow students to work before they arrive in the US from abroad. And there may be tax withholding implications and other aspects of that I can't comment on. But from a visa status perspective, there's no problem for you to work before you arrive in the US. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Mimi. We have another question from Nishat in the chat. For unpaid internships, not a degree requirement, is work authorization still needed?
I would recommend it. If you're doing any type of internship that's related to your major, I would recommend getting CPT authorization. And the reason is it's the safest option for you. So CPT, curricular practical training, is required, as I mentioned, for any type of paid employment, any type of paid internship, any type of service that you provide where you're getting compensation from the employer. Compensation can come in many forms. It doesn't have to be wages or salary. It could be, for example, free meals, free room and board, free transportation. If you're receiving anything in exchange for the services you're providing, then you need work authorization. And so that would mean you would need CPT. Another scenario where you would need work authorization for something that may otherwise be considered an unpaid internship is if, let's say you have an unpaid internship and you finish it, and the entity you were working for is so happy with your work, they decide to retroactively pay you or give you a bonus or something, you know, that would put you in a difficult position if you didn't have work authorization, because you wouldn't be able to accept it. You wouldn't be authorized to accept it. And finally, one last point is that if the internship is truly 100% completely unpaid, uncompensated, it may be fine for you to do it without CPT. But one other thing to keep in mind is the position should be traditionally unpaid no matter who occupies it. So it would be an issue if you were doing an unpaid internship and someone else was doing the exact same work as you, but getting paid for it, because that would mean that you should be getting paid and it should count as employment. So all of that to summarize is to say that there are many gray areas and different factors that could actually make something that looks like an unpaid internship, it puts it in the employment camp, actually. And for that, you definitely need work authorization. So the safest way always is to get CPT work authorization, even if it's quote unquote unpaid.
Perfect, thank you. And I know Zuli has limited time with us, so I just wanted to ask another question to both Zuli and Nina. Just wondering if either of you participated in the mentorship program and if it was helpful to you.
So I participated into the mentorship program. From my experience, it was not very helpful for me, mostly because of me, I guess. I should seek out my mentor more. But it was my first year and I was just trying to experience everything and student life. So I guess it just slipped. But when it came to the time that I really need a job or internship, that was the time I reached out to my mentor as well, like the mentor from the first year, and everyone like graduated before me who had experience, So I think it depends on the person, but I think it's a useful program as long as you seek out your mentor and make time to meet with them.
Yeah, I agree. In my case, I was kind of matched with a mentor that has kind of different background. So I was interested in kind of food policy and in international development. He was in like energy field, but he actually helped me to find another mentor that I've been still talking with. So yeah, you just ask. I think if you feel like you're not being matched the perfect match, but you can still find someone else through that person. So yeah, utilize everyone.
Perfect, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for our panelists? We have one. Alejandro, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you all for the presentation. I have two questions. The first one is, what is the best time to start working or an internship? Because once as an incoming student, I don't know the perfect timing for that. I don't know how to adapt yet to classes and to, the masters in general, and plus working load. So what is the best timing? And the other one is, if we manage to get a GA position as incoming students that they've been published in Canvas and already have an F1 visa or J1, do you need to apply for work authorization? Those are my two questions.
I think the answer to question 2 might be quick and easy, so I can answer that one if that's okay first. F1 students are already automatically authorized to work on campus. There are no special steps you need to follow with our office to gain authorization. You're already authorized. J1 students, you do need authorization first, but that is a fairly straightforward process. You would log into your MyIO account and you will be able to find the steps you need to follow there for J1 students to gain authorization for on-campus employment. And on-campus employment can start as soon as you arrive in the United States. So the only hurdle is that for just for J1 students, you have to go through a couple of extra steps before you start, and you do those in MyIO.
Yeah, I can maybe tackle the first question, which is when you should start looking. So I think building out an internship search strategy can start like today, and you can at least have a rough timeline planned out for what you want to achieve in the next year as it relates to finding the type of internship that really aligns with what you want to learn, who do you want to meet, what kind of experience or skills do you want to gain, and then actually go into the execution mode with a really strong foundation, but actually start applying whenever you want, right, to actually start the internship. So reverse engineering, sort of knowing when do you want to intern, and then asking yourself, what do I need to find an internship, and what kind of internship do I want? And this is where doing one-on-one advising with Colleen, Rachel, me could help, and of course getting some advice from your faculty members about what places might be looking or aligning with the values that you've kind of expressed. And then Mimi, for the on-campus employment, it's up to 20 hours, no questions asked, right?
Correct.
Yeah, anything over 20, you do have to go see Mimi. So this goes back to that theme of collaboration, where if you come see me or Colleen, we might say, hey, it might be a good idea to set up an appointment with ISSS and talk to Mimi about what it might mean or what implications are kind of at stake if you do accept this internship. Or so it's kind of might be, I just want to prep you all to get used to this idea that you might need to talk to multiple people because we all have different areas of expertise and can help you in sort of different facets of this kind of what initially seems like one problem or one thing that you want to achieve. So yeah, kind of start small and then big build out a bigger plan over time.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. We have a question from Enu. Enu, please let me know if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. Enu says, I noticed that some internship GRA needs more than 3 references, and I wonder who I should ask to be my reference. Do you have any suggestions?
This is as a first year student, right? Incoming student.
Yeah.
If it's like a second year student, you usually ask the professors that you took courses with, but maybe you need to ask for professors that you studied through undergraduate. That would be like the most strong references, I think, but maybe other people know better than that.
Yeah, I think this goes back to the point of having a pretty kind of big or detailed vision of who all falls into your network. And that means like, it's going to be a long list. So who are your kind of professional colleagues, maybe people you've worked with in the past, who has supervised you in the past? Nina totally hit the nail on the head. Like, who were your professors in your undergrad institution? Maybe you have a previous master's in a different field of expertise. Maybe you've already internshiped somewhere when you were an undergrad. Maybe it's a neighbor that you've worked on a project with, you know, randomly. So it can actually be pretty diverse and more. The intention here, I would say, like, who can I ask that can speak to my strengths as it relates to that opportunity is like the best strategy. But you can also come in to brainstorm, right? If you're having a hard time identifying people in your network, we can do like a quick network analysis exercise and to kind of get you start thinking holistically of everyone that you know. And of course, we can talk about ways to create mentorship relationships, kind of both in short-term strategies and then over long-term strategies as well. You can do both.
Thank you, Olga. So we have a question from Nisha to Mimi in the chat. For unpaid internships, if we apply for CPT, does it cut down the OPT time available for international students?
Good question, good news, it does not. The only way that CPT can take away any OPT time is if you end up doing 12 months of full-time CPT, which I pretty much guarantee you will not be doing in your program. If you do 12 months of full-time CPT, that automatically takes away your eligibility for OPT. Otherwise, CPT does not have any direct effect on your eligibility for post-completion OPT. No matter how much part-time CPT you do, you will still be eligible to apply for 12 months of post-completion OPT in your final semester.
Thank you, Mimi. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions or hand raised. No, I don't see any. Olga, what are the things that you have planned for this coming fall semester and even the spring semester? You're muted. Oh.
I just wanted to pull up the slide again, just instead of me kind of, trying to describe, you all can just look at maybe some of the thematic things. So for the fall, right now, we have some things planned. We are definitely probably going to be doing the International Job Search Summit, which we did in the fall last year, and it was a huge success. And that's going to be like a 3-hour event where me, Texas Global, and then last year, we also brought in an immigration attorney here from Austin who kind of talked about visa options for after graduation. And we'll see kind of how to diversify the lineup for this year. We have some specific programming around kind of global mobility. And this is to really emphasize and encourage you all to kind of always think or have parallel plans when it comes to like yes, I want to work in the US, here are the kind of industries or places that I'm interested in, and then also having a parallel plan of where else can I kind of meet these criteria in the world, whether it's Canada, Australia, or maybe not a, you know, Anglo speaking country as well. We'll be doing some I'll be doing a specific program for career planning and exploration for international humanities students. I'm doing this session for PhDs, but I'm also thinking of adding a session for MA students. We have a couple of external speakers for the fall. Dr. Shoba is coming to us to do the Beyond Two Suitcases, Navigating Life as an International Trainee at Work and Learning Spaces. We're going to have an international alumni panel, and you today already had a chance to meet two of the most amazing students. One was an alum, one is a current. And then we are going to be doing something that I started in the fall, and some of the events have been bilingual as well. So I did a drop-in Q&A with somebody from the biotech industry last spring at Neandong, and the program was both in Chinese and English. So I'm trying to also kind of diversify our programs and make them more accessible so that you can kind of, you know, ask questions, have like a really candid conversation about industry expectations, kind of what to do, what not to do, and really understand the nuances of different fields. So this is kind of a rough, everything that I will have solidified on the agenda, I'll share with Colleen and Rachel to then kind of send out. But keep an eye out for our newsletter from Texas Career Engagement that comes out every Monday. That's where we share all of the upcoming programs, kind of relevant resources. I know you all have so many emails, so that's like the one. The marker would be it comes out Monday morning from us, but there's of course so many areas that your attention is being. So yeah, so that's just a very quick fall kind of, you know, and everything, yes, going to be in Handshake. That's why it's important to activate that account. All of my programs I put into Handshake where you can register, sign up. We record most of our content so that I usually share with everyone who registered, just because we understand life happens, academic priorities happen and are, you know, very important, especially in your first year. So yeah, you can at least get the content that you can watch at your own pace or schedule.
Thank you so much, Olga. So we have our final question from Carolina, and then we'll go straight into breakout rooms. Carolina, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Sure. Hi, Rachel. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I think my internet is at its worst today. I just have one question concerning the GA positions that have recently been announced. I think Alejandro was making a reference to them. There's a part in the application that asks for faculty references. And so given that we are first years, who's gonna be my faculty reference? That's the question. I mean, you know, like, well, given that we're first year students, like what exactly should we, you know, put in that answer, especially if we really want to get, you know, the job.
So in the US, it doesn't take much to start developing a professional relationship with a contact or a faculty member. That could be like 3 interactions, right? First, you might send like an introductory email. You might follow up being like, you know, do you have 20 minutes to chat or set up an advising appointment? That's already 2 interactions. Then of course, you always have to send thank you emails to everyone here in the US. So that's a 3rd interaction. After that, like after those 3 kind of interactions, you can already have a pretty strong foundation for whether this person can be a reference or not, and have it is going to be a one-on-one kind of assessment situation. And if you're still developing the skill of figuring out when and how to ask people for different things, that's something you can come in for one-on-one advising. If you just want somebody to read over because you're working on your interpersonal communication or your written communication, email communication, like we can provide kind of feedback so that you feel more empowered to you know, ask for the things that you need in that moment or in that semester. That would be my advice right now.
That's such a great advice. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much to Mimi, Olga, and Nina, as well as Zuli, who's not here with us right now, but thank you all for sharing your insights. And if students, if you have any questions, please do email them. They would be very happy to get back to you, or email Colleen and I. We would also be very happy to support you in any questions you might have. We're going to go into breakout rooms now. We have assigned specific policy related breakout rooms for everybody. And I think Colleen has just given you the option to join your breakout rooms. We're going to give you 5 minutes with that specific breakout room, and then you can just choose to move around into any other breakout room you want to after that. Okay. Colleen, I think, have most people join the breakout rooms?
Yes, except I don't have anybody in